Hi everybody, welcome. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2018. This is a good year for you. I said you? What does that mean? Good year for you and a great year for me. Great year for you, great year for me. Yeah, I'm expecting this year to be a really, really good, wonderful one for all of us. And I'm here right now. My name is called Queen Choma. Hi Tommy, welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah, this is going to be worth watching. Trust me. Like, if you can watch it live, that's wonderful. If you can't, please do watch the replay, because I will be sharing some amazing nuggets and amazing tips, amazing ideas on how you can break into the media. Funny enough, I actually did this training in my private Facebook group. Hi Cleopatra, how are you? I did this training in my private Facebook group. I actually thought that I was actually live streaming on my page here, and I realized no, I was not. And so that's why I'm back here, and that's why I kind of changed the time to 3 p.m. because I kind of put in my stories, Facebook stories, that I was going to be live at 1. Went live in the wrong group, so now I'm here. But trust me, this is going to be worth watching, and I honestly want you to take notes. Like, if you can't take notes now, no problem. Go back and take notes. I might upload this to YouTube as well, so that it's somewhere where you can watch it again and everything, and it's somewhere where you can easily find it. But so let me dive in. Just in case you don't know who I am, let me just introduce myself. My name is Queen. I'm an international motivational speaker, a TV presenter, and a PR and media coach. And I am also, hi, is it Nella? Nelly? Basically, hi, welcome. I am, oh, by the way, if you're watching the replay, welcome. Hi, Emma. Lovely to see you. Pop on. So I am an international motivational speaker. I started off as a singer, but actually before then, hi, Jonathan. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Before I started doing like international motivational speaking and singing and all of this stuff, I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress with everything in my being. Hi, Tommy says hi, Queen. Hi, how are you? How are you enjoying 2018 so far? Let me know. Yes, I wanted to be an actress with everything in my being, and I really pursued it. Like, to me, I didn't care about being on TV in the sense of like for vanity. Right now, I'm going to be honest with you. I care about being on TV a little bit more than I did before. Like, before it was like, oh, I want to be on TV because I want to be in a film or in a program. But because I am an actress, I am a real actress, you know. It wasn't like, it was all about the art. I didn't care about the fame or anything like that. Okay, so Jonathan says, Happy New Year, Queen. And Tommy says, I'm at work, so I have to watch the replay. Oh, okay, yeah, definitely watch the replay. And most certainly, definitely, you're going to love this. Trust me, I'm going to really be pouring out like everything I did to break into the media. So it's going to be a juicy one. So hi Jonathan, by the way, so lovely to see you here. Yeah, so basically I wanted to be an actress, you know, and it was just my divine destiny as far as I was concerned. I didn't have any other backup plan. There was no other goals. This was my plan. When I finished college, I'm going straight to acting. Like, I was already acting, so I was doing performing arts, but I was like committed to the idea of just going straight into like EastEnders, or I would go into theatre. It was just a done deal that I was going to be in films, and I was going to be a movie star, because I had real like sort of level 10 acting abilities and acting skills back then. Definitely has come down a few notches, but back then it was like fire. It was like I was a great actress, and you know, everybody knew it and everybody said so. And you know what? I actually got a B for drama. And I remember the first thing that somebody said to me, which is obviously good, but it wasn't an A. And my friend was like, one of my friends, she was like, you should have got an A. Like, she didn't even say, oh my God, congratulations, that's so good. She was so annoyed that I didn't get the A. She was like, what the heck is, like, no, why did you get a B? Like, you should have got an A. And it was because my teacher, I think she had a little bit of a thing with me, like a little bit, not maybe, I don't know if it was jealousy or something, but just a slight thing there, you know. I think she didn't give me the A for a reason, you know. Maybe there's always this tension or jealousy or something in this. I'm not trying to like put her down, but I just think there was something slightly there that made her not give me the A. Or maybe it wasn't just meant to be. However, I went to do performing arts at college, and I was determined to become an actress. To cut a long story short, when I was there, I discovered my singing talent, even though I knew I could sing, but it increased, it grew, and I started to go to the studio and all this stuff. And then one day, I got to a point where I was like, that's it. I'm going to take my singing seriously. I was going to I was like, I'm going to make this like a real thing. I'm going to sing and I'm going to perform and I'm going to travel singing and I'm going to just develop this gift like never before. I'm going to buy a karaoke machine, even though I was doing all of that in performing arts. You know, I was literally living in the studio, eating, breathing, sleeping in the studio, like 24/7. Like, I barely had a life after a while because I pretty much got to a point where I realised that if I don't give up friends, I will not have this A-level, you know. Even though I was doing 3 A-levels, I was doing media studies as well, and I was doing sociology, but I knew I needed to dedicate, like, the majority of my time to performing arts because it was hard. And my teacher there, my lecturer, she was hard. She was tough, she was on my case, and yeah, so I was like, okay, I have to do this, have to do this, have to do this. And I was quite intimidated by the whole thing of like, oh my God, I've come to college now and everything's scary. To me, I found like it was a bit intimidating. And I was the kind of person back then, I dressed a certain way. I was really into like looking at, you know, really pretty all the time and have to look a certain way. My hair needs to be done a certain way. And everything was all about like being like quite center of attention kind of person. And like, I remember once someone saying to me, like, we're trying to figure out, are you the prettiest girl in the school or is it another girl, you know? And I was like, oh my God, like I found all this stuff really uncomfortable. And I definitely think I was a lot more center of attention kind of person compared to now where I'm more like toned down. Back then, everything had to be perfect. My hair had to be a certain way. I dressed a certain way. I wore certain trainers, wore certain shoes. Everything was just about like the look. But then when it came to the art, when it came to my art as an actress, it was like all about the art. It wasn't about anything to do with fame or publicity or anything like that. Whereas now I'm thinking about publicity and, you know, all of these good things. Hi, Emeka, how are you? Hi, Taylor. And Alex is here. Hi, Alex. Alex, how are you? Yeah, I'm so happy New Year, everybody. Okay, so basically, let me now just like fast track into what happened. As I was developing my singing gift, I started to do singing gigs. I started to perform at events. I started to go for talent shows. And that is when I met someone in the media that gave me my biggest breakthrough into the media. That was for Ben TV. Jonathan says haters gonna hate. Yeah, definitely they are, most certainly, especially with the new year, with all the good things that we're hoping to achieve. I'm sure we're going to attract new haters. But yeah, so basically I decided that, like, you know, I would put myself out there, start performing, getting on stage, and I performed at this specific event. And that's when I met somebody that changed my life when it comes to the media, because he gave me my first breakthrough. But it wasn't actually my first, it was my third breakthrough. My third big break, but it was like the biggest break because that's when I got to Ben TV. And I was on the show called Hidden Treasures. And I was on there for like, you know, a 45-minute interview or 50-minute interview where it was all about me. It was all about what do you do? Who are you? What would you like? Tell us about your singing career. How did you get into this? It was everything to do with me. And so, sorry, just wanted to make sure it's a bit clear. So I was like passionate, like I spoke about myself. And then from that moment, he let me come on the show often. And then when I organised this motivational seminar, which I felt led to do when I finished my degree, when I finished university, he basically came and filmed my event as well. And it just became over and over and over until some other opportunities arose. So what I just found myself doing, I would say the first reason why, the reason why I broke into the media is because I put myself out there with my gifts and talents. I would say that like I was actively putting myself out there for opportunities. I actively sought opportunities. I was actively using my gifts and talents, whether that was singing at events, whether that's organising a seminar. I just did things that put me out of my comfort zone consistently. So I was always like being booked. And I decided that. I made a decision to do that. I made a decision to go to the studios. I made a decision to travel and sing and speak and whatever it would be. And of course, back then it started off with singing, and then with singing it turned to motivational speaking, and then, you know, TV, and then this and this, and it just became one thing after another. And every time I thought it was just going to be the motivational speaking, another talent or another gift would be added to me, you know. So I definitely think God definitely played a big role in this, giving me gifts and talents, because if it wasn't for his gifts and talents, I wouldn't have been able to get all this attention in the media. Osmo Jude, hi, welcome. And by the way, I've been on TV for 10 years now. Okay, so I've got thousands of hours of TV coverage under my belt. I've been on, main channel I'm on is Ben TV on Sky. But I've been on other TV channels, Dutch TV, ITV, ITV2, ITVB, MTV, BBC One, RSTV in Nigeria. That I'm on that all the time in Nigeria, all the time as well. Some of you may know this because you may have watched me on TV. Some of you may know me from a program on ITV, which may be your main way of knowing me, if you do know me in this way. But that's not the only program I've been on. I think sometimes we get like a big breakthrough into mainstream media, but that doesn't mean that's the only show that I've been on. It's like many people would know the Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They would know the Kardashians like from that show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but they've been on like so many other channels. It's just that we may not know because maybe we may not necessarily watch those programs. Do you get what I mean? Like, so they may be on like other shows, but we may not know them for that. We know them mainly for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So that was the first thing. The second thing I would say is I said yes when the opportunities came up. So when I was 8 years old, this was my first TV interview. Imagine that, 8 years old. I was like this little girl. My name was, called Queen. And even though people didn't call me Queen back then, they called me Choma, which is my middle name. Or Choma, the Nigerian way. So what I was just confident, I would go and perform at school and do all these things. But what I found happen is that I actually, BBC One came to my school and they said they wanted to interview some of the kids, like maybe a couple of us. And they were like, would you be interested in being interviewed? For some reason they asked me and I was like, yes, like, yeah, I would love to, But obviously, I didn't really know what was going on. I'm an 8-year-old kid. I had no idea what was going on. But I was like, yes, no, of course. And it was to talk about the Queen, to talk about the good things the Queen was doing in the country. And so I said some really nice things. Oh, the Queen is, she's hardworking, she's wonderful, or whatever I said. And all of a sudden, I was on television, and my aunties called me, and they told me, and I couldn't believe it. The next time I was on TV after that, it was all the way when I was 19. So from 8 years old, jumped to 19, there was a show called Is She MTV? And it was with Richard Blackwood. And it was like an opportunity to be alongside Richard Blackwood as a presenter. So I would be presenting with him. And so I took the opportunity to go on this show. And it was like a casting, a big audition. And I went for the audition. And the first time I went for it, I'm going to be honest, I didn't get through. And, I went for the audition, didn't get through. But I was like, I realised that maybe I wasn't taking it that seriously. But it was still wonderful. I got to, have this amazing opportunity. But then you know what I did? They said you could audition again the next day if you want. So I went back. I did my hair. I got a really nice outfit together. And I was like, I'm going to take this seriously. And I went back and I got through. And like, it was something where the cut that was made was like from thousands probably to hundreds. So at least I got through to that point. So they chose like I think it was 1 out of every 10 or something like that in every room. Something like that. So I was happy with myself. My friends were amazed and they were all happy. And I had to stay there a bit longer. They all I think they're waiting for me outside. Took a while. And so, yeah, I didn't win or anything. But I got to take photos with Richard. I think that, I took photos of him. Or I hugged him and everything. And, and I was flashed on TV. I didn't have like a big moment of like, 10 minutes or anything like that. It was just more of like, you definitely would have seen me on it. And I really nailed my audition. People were clapping for me. They were like, oh my God, I really nailed it because I really practiced. I went home and I was like, I'm going to do this. I know I can do this. So, but I also knew that I held myself back from going all the way because I was like, I'm not really ready to be a big presenter yet. But I definitely knew I had it inside of me, the presenting. And I discovered the presenting idea when I was at college. That came to me there. The third thing I did, it was definitely inspiration. So it was seeing people that were really successful, like Mariah Carey, for example. She was really inspiring to me. So I found that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like that. I want to put my gifts and talents out there. So I would watch like documentaries, biographies. I would listen to music that would inspire me, like Mariah Carey's music, the Rainbow album especially, really inspired me to want to sing. And I would look at people that were talented and using their gifts and talents, and I would like put myself out there that same way. I allowed role models, people that were doing it, to inspire me and to light a fire in me. So that's something that you need to do too. Let who, is inspiring you. Who do you love and who do you like? Let them light a fire in you. Hi Veronica, nice to see you. Let them light a fire in you. So who is it? Like, for example, right now, someone I'm really inspired by, Anthony Joshua. Like, that is pushing me to exercise, like get up and work out. And it makes me want to work out in a harder way than before. Because I'm like, he works out like a beast. Like, he calls himself, he said he's like a beast, And so I want to be stronger. I want to be tougher. And in fact, I'm even thinking of like doing boxing lessons. I've done it before. But I'm thinking maybe I should do them again and really take it a bit more seriously. Obviously, I don't want to be a boxer or anything like that. But I just think it's good to be inspired and use be as creative as you possibly can. So the next thing I did, I think I'm at number 4 now. Okay, so number 3 was inspiration. Number 4, the fourth thing I did to attract media coverage, TV interviews, how I broke into the media and all of this good stuff. Number 4 was I actually basically had like high levels of confidence and charisma. Okay, so the charisma, number 1, is the smile. Like it's the smile, the whole pageant thing I was doing, that really helped me to have charisma, because you need it big time. I would read articles, like I said before, I studied celebrities all the time, and anyone that had the star quality, star factor, I would study them. I would look at what they do. Why are they so charismatic? Why do they stand out? How comes Cameron Diaz is so famous? What is it about them? And I especially think that I discovered this when I was studying at university, when I was doing communications and law. I changed my degree from communications and law to mass communications and sociology. And when I was studying that, I realized that the communication side of it was an introduction to everything to do with film studies. And so I would learn everything about these Nollywood stars and Hollywood stars and then the film, and Bollywood. And I would learn everything. I would watch all these films, and I just discovered everything to do with Hollywood, Nollywood, Bollywood, American cinema, French cinema. And when you learn about the film industry, that is the Hollywood charisma we're talking about. I call it Hollywood charisma, by the way. I believe I've coined that term. So, but I learned so much. And by the way, that is another thing, by the way, as the next thing, as number 5, is I actually studied media studies. So I studied media studies, I studied mass communications, and to be honest with you, I used to think back then that it was all going through one ear and out the other. I didn't actually know that I was retaining the information and that it was going to lead me to being in the media in a very, very big way. I've been in newspapers, magazines like OK Magazine, the Islington Gazette, the Voice newspaper. I speak their language. So the reason why I've been able to be on TV so much, or on, whatever I've been able to do, is because I speak the media. I speak the language of the media. I speak the jargon. I understand the key words. So what I want to encourage you to do is make sure you are studying the media. Like, the words, what's the tabloid, what's the broadsheet, what like the hypodermic needle is in terms of like the mass media injecting all this information into the masses, and then they basically just lie back and receive it. So there's just so many words like high culture, popular culture, subcultures. What is for example, like, what is production? Do you know what that means? Like, there are certain words, if you can like learn about these words and educate yourself, even if it's just reading articles on media studies, reading articles on the television industry, the filming, go way back. Start with, go into history. When was the first film ever created? And even if it seems like random information, that is how you prepare yourself to be in the media, because you're learning random information. You're learning things that may or may not be important, and you're having the most important thing is you're setting yourself a foundation. You're setting a foundation, and that foundation is going to lead to you being more media attractive. And when you're more media attractive, the media opportunities come. It's a bit like clients. If you study everything to do with like how to get clients, how to get sales, blah blah blah, eventually you become a magnet for clients and a magnet for sales. Okay, so I think we're at number 6 now. Okay, let's pretend we're at number 5. I don't know where we're at. Let's say we're at number 5. Number 5 is I would pitch to the media, and I would follow up with the media consistently. Some of you are not pitching to the media. You're not actually putting yourself out there. That's why you're not getting media coverage. Are you speaking to the media? Are you making phone calls? Are you getting on? There are millions of podcasts out there, or thousands at least. Thousands of podcasts. Let's say there's not thousands. There are at least hundreds of podcasts. There are podcasts out there. There are newspapers. There are TV shows. All you need to do is, let me give you a tip. You need to spend time writing down all the shows that you want to be on, all the newspapers, all the magazines that you'd like to be featured in. And all you need to do is you contact them. They have a contact page on the website, for goodness sake. Like, they've got an email of an editor, and, there are different editors. And all you need to do is email one of them or phone one of them, and they will point you to the right person. They usually have a news desk as well. Most of these magazines and newspapers and TV shows have a news desk. And you can actually contact the news desk as well. But that's usually for breaking news. So if you have something big, like a big story, something that just happened, like let's say, for example, you just had a big breakthrough in your business, that's a great time to contact the media. Or let's say you just launched a CD, you launched a new music video, you've just released something, maybe, I don't know, your book has just come out. That is when you reach them, you call for the, you call the media and speak to them in terms of like breaking news, the news desk, because that's news, it's latest news, it's breaking news. Whereas with the other stories that are like more of like, oh, you know, can you feature me because I'm a role model, I'm an inspiration, and I've been through this and that, that's not breaking news. That's just like, that's not like immediate news, that's not immediate attention, that's more of like a feature, a article, you know, that's just like more of like, oh, okay, that's something that's not gonna like necessarily be, it's not urgent to the media, you know, it's something that can just like happen anytime. So you do have to follow up with the media because of the fact that there is a good chance that what you're trying to tell the media isn't urgent. You know, if it was something like, oh my goodness, you just witnessed something or whatever, like maybe some buildings burning or something, you know, something bad as well, not just good stories. Sometimes it's sad stories with the media, which is quite sad. There are sad stories, and obviously they do show the bad stories, you know, the sad stories that we know they show. Of course, this is very important. We need the media. The reason why they're there is because they want to let the world know what's happening. That's the whole point. Obviously, though, if you want to be in the media in a way where you're being a role model and a shining star and helping people, then you've got to go into the media in a sense where you are like, okay, I've got to share my story. I've got to share my gifts. I've got to share my talents. And the way that you can do that is by you making a decision to just, you know, pitch to the media, follow up with the media, and actually make sure you secure some media interviews. It's a bit like getting clients. If you don't get any clients, then you're just, what business do you have? Like, it's just it's absolutely crazy. Like, you don't have a business if you don't have any clients, or if you don't have any sales in your business. You do not have any media coverage. Like, you will not have media coverage if you don't get any media coverage. If you don't pitch to the media, follow up with the media, or if they don't just decide to feature you, then you're out of the game. You know, you're out of that media and publicity game, and you just have to keep going until you get something. You know, maybe your first newspaper, your first press release, or your first what's the word, like a magazine feature, you know, your first feature in a tabloid newspaper, your first feature in a broadsheet. A broadsheet, for example, would be the Guardian newspaper. Tabloid would be the Sun newspaper. So if you don't know that, I'm sure many of you may know this, but with a tabloid's popular media, and then with broadsheets, it's more of high culture media. It's more of like elite media. So it's like, you know, the more important, prominent media. Whereas with the popular culture, the difference is with popular culture, it's more for everybody. It's like they can fabricate the news a little bit. They can like exaggerate, sensationalize, all that stuff. Whereas with the broadsheets, like with the Financial Times, the Guardian, all those different newspapers, they're not likely to fabricate stories that are likely to be true and very, very important news, and very much basically the press that they would be showcasing would be very important stories and for a certain group of people. Not that they're doing it on purpose, not that they're not trying to sideline people, but the people that would read the newspapers, like the Guardian, the Financial Times, or you know, they're different people than that. They're very different from the people that will read the Daily Mirror or the, you know, the Islington Gazette, or whether it be your local Gazette, basically, or whatever. And by the way, the Gazettes are usually very good stories as well. Like, all of the newspapers have good stories. And by the way, if you're an editor watching, shout out to you and thank you for the work you do, because, you know, you're putting out great work out there, just in case the editor is here. Yeah, media is media. You have to obviously understand it to understand, like, how they go about featuring people, what's important to their stories. Like, there's no point in you going to a popular newspaper and then just talking to them about something that's like I don't know how to describe it. It's not really fitting into the genre of like popular media. You know, it's like those glossy magazines like Chat Magazine, Love It, all those ones. They don't want to hear a serious story. Like, when I say serious, I mean like if you say you just won an award, and, you know, the history award, and like, there's just certain things they're not going to feature. They're not going to feature something to do with history unless it's about like history of celebrities or something like that. You know, you've got to realize that you've got to know where you're pitching as well. Not just pitch, but where are you pitching? Okay. So now oh my God, I don't know what numbers. I should have like notes in front of me, but I think we're at number 6. Are we at number 6? Okay, we're at number 6. If we're not, please forgive me. I promise that I will definitely next time probably try and have like notes in front of me so I don't miss my numbers. Okay, so I think we're at number 6, and number 6 is, the 6th thing I did was I applied for castings and auditions. So I registered with some casting agencies. Star Now was one of them, another one was Talent Talks, and then there were some other ones I registered with. And what I would have all the time, there was one called Mandy, I think it was called Mandy something. I would have like all these jobs come to me through email, on their like talent board or whatever, and then I would just apply for the jobs that looked really interesting to me. That was another way that I got loads of work in the media, even down to, and by the way, I also would apply for stuff on the TV channel websites as well. That's another thing I did. I remember once applying for something. Let me tell you why it's so important to apply. I applied for something once on Star Now. This was years ago. And the guy who was from ITV, and it was to be on ITV, it was to talk, I think it was a show, and just to talk about a certain topic. And I was like, oh, if you want to know the rest of the juicy reason why I should be on the show, then contact me. Here's my number. And he was like, he called me and he was like, what's the thing you wanted to tell me? Like, what's that thing? What's the story? And I don't know what I said. I think I just like buzzed it up a little bit so he could phone me. So he was like, oh, yeah, you seem really great, but in the end, they called me back and said, we made a decision not to have you on the show. However, if anything comes up, I'll let you know. So I was like, okay, thank you so much, wonderful, wonderful. But guess what? He had me in mind. And guess what I was featured in? Not featured, I went to do like this pilot with ITV. And basically it was to be on this show, which was called For Weddings, right? So that program exists right now, and many of you may have watched it. But basically what happened is I got the opportunity to be on this program. And how it all worked was basically I was going to be the princess bride. I had to audition for these different characters. I had to choose, like basically there was 4 different brides. One was a bride that was gay. One bride was the rock chick bride. The other one was the kind of witch bride. And then the other one was the princess bride. And I ended up being the princess bride. I think I tried out for being the rock chick bride and the princess bride, and they chose me for the princess bride. So there was 4 of us, and we had to basically, what we were doing was spending a day of acting, and we were acting for the whole day of how it would be if we were basically, if they were going to go ahead and do this new version of the show. So the show had been going on, but they wanted to revamp the show, and they had to show the executives of ITV how this show would be, like the top producers, how would it be? So they had to create the whole concept, make it into a proper, like, proper set, like that. There was a set, there was camera crew. Like, I've never seen such a big set in all my life, other than when I was in a film called Street Dance or Step Up, I've forgotten now, Step Up to the Streets 3D. I was in a film, hi Claire, welcome. Yeah, there was a film I was in, I think it was Step Up to the Streets 3D, Step Up to the Streets 2 3D. It was a long time ago now, but I have got everything, all my notes and all of my documents are everywhere upstairs. I've got like a folder full of all my media coverage, all the times I was invited to come here, go there, I've got like everything. But like with the ITV one, it was like cameras everywhere. When they have like the things on the floor where they roll the camera, and oh my gosh, it was just crazy. Loads of lights, camera action. It was we were in this sort of like, it was called the Caroline Gardens. It was a bit like a mansion, but a church mansion in some way. But it was like this kind of like old church that was like a sort of mansion looking kind of a place. And we filmed outside, we filmed in, it was just all amazing, it was so, so, so good. We spent hours filming, and on that same day that I was filming, I was actually on Dinner Date ITV for the first time. Many of you probably watched that, but that was when I got my big break onto ITV to actually be on that program, ITV Dinner Date, which I really did well in. People loved my episode, and they repeated that episode at least 20 times over the years up to 2016. I don't think they did repeat it in 2017, I think, but not much maybe. Whereas before they would repeat it all the time, like literally nearly every month or something like that, every other month or something. Many of you watched it, and it went on to so many channels. It would just go on to so many channels. So the lesson I want to, let you know right now from what I'm saying is that if you go into the media, you can be featured over and over and over. And if you even audition for something or apply for something, that person could have you in mind for something else. So don't ever just think, oh, I just applied for this and I didn't get it, and then that's it. With the media, it's never really a done deal. It's always like, okay, you didn't get this thing. We have you in mind for something else, don't worry. Once they think you're reliable or that you're interesting or that you do respond to emails or phone calls, they will always have you in mind and they will always think of you for something else. I've had producers reach out to me all the time, like, especially with as a pageant director now with the UK's Dazzling Beauty. That has obviously given me tons of publicity in the pageant, tons of publicity. So that does make the media reach out to us for TV opportunities. I've had like all the, like at least the 3 or 4 of the top TV channels in this country, in the UK, reach out about potentially doing a documentary or potentially coming to cover the programme or whatever. Even down to the Sun newspaper. They've even like wanted to do something with us. But we've had loads of newspapers that have come down to our events and have covered it. And that's another thing, by the way. Number 7 is I organised events often. By the way, I did this whole live stream in a group thinking that I was actually on Miss Main page, but I was in a group, in one of my paid groups. And then I realised, like, oh, I was like, hold on, because someone popped on and I was like, oh, this person isn't my friend. And I was like, oh, I realised, oh my gosh, I've actually live streamed in the wrong place. So some of the points I mentioned there were probably slightly different than what I mentioned in here because of the fact that, you know, I kind of am doing this again and I don't even have notes in front of me. However, I love to be organic on social media, and with Facebook, I like to be more organic and go with the flow, whereas with something like, what's the word, YouTube, I prefer to be more structured and planned and everything needs to be organised. So, the next thing that I, you know, like I mentioned with number 7 was the fact that I organised loads of events. So organising events is definitely going to attract the attention of the media. You can invite the media to be at your events. That's one of the ways to definitely break into the media, is you should organise events, whether that's a workshop, a seminar, a training day, and it needs to be something where the media can actually attend. One of the things you could do, if let's say you're organising a private event, it's like this private party or something that you want to organise and you want the media to attend, you know, maybe you wouldn't want them to be there at the time, but what you could do is just say, you know, you could actually arrange for a certain time where the media come, and then maybe they film, maybe they interview you, they cover everything a little bit. The media are looking for events to go. That is what the media do. They go to events. They're always wanting to be at some event. So if you can invite them to, like we contact the media and ask them to come to our pageant events. You've got to like let them in and have a press pass for them. Like if you, one thing they love is a press pass. It makes them feel like special. And I mean, not that it makes them feel special, but it makes them feel like this is really a proper corporate event. So yeah, if you're organising anything like a fashion show, a beauty pageant, if you're organising anything like, you know, you're singing somewhere, even if you're like singing, you're doing a gig or something, you can still invite them to come and watch you. I mean, this is what the media do. They're looking for stories. They're looking for people to put out there in their newspapers and magazines and on their TV shows. So you need to also be organising something where you can pull them in, okay? And then the 8th thing I did to break into the media, number 8 is it was where I was going, people. It was where I was going. So I'm going to tell you some places I would go, events I would attend, where I would be in front of the media and I would be immediately interviewed, or I would be on a red carpet and I would meet like 10 celebrities on the spot or something like that. So I would go to award shows, like film award shows, for example. Like one of them that I went to was called Zaffa Awards. It's an African film festival, and I went there, and I remember when I was on the red carpet there, I was interviewed immediately, photographed exponentially, and then I got to meet some of these really amazing people in the African industry in terms of like some people that, for example, one of the one of the founders of a TV show. And then I got to, I was interviewed by different newspapers. I've got a video of it on YouTube, and I've got some clips on my somewhere on my archive of all my. I keep everything. Like every time I'm featured in the media, I keep everything. I get them to send me show reels. I buy the CDs. If I go for any photo shoots, when I used to be in pageants, I used to go for photo shoots often, and like with pageants, what they tend to do is they'll have a photographer, and they will let you buy the photos if you want to, and you spend something like £20, but I would buy all the CDs, everything that I'm in, I request for it. Like if I was in a newspaper, I would ask for that newspaper, or I would go and buy it. Even if I have to buy it, I wouldn't care, because the way I saw it was like, I need a portfolio of everything I've done. And sometimes you won't get your portfolio, sometimes you won't get your footage, you won't get the newspaper because maybe you forgot Like when I was in OK Magazine, I was actually abroad at the time, so I couldn't exactly buy the OK Magazine at the time, but I still got a copy sent to me from my pageant director, because she was the one that told me that was featured in the first place, and my friends told me as well. And with some of these things, you can actually backtrack, so you can actually contact them and ask them to send you like old archived magazines or newspapers that you were in. If you just tell them I was in this certain edition or this certain time, then they can kind of backtrack and find that for you, and you can buy it. Okay, so I went to certain events. I would go to beauty pageant events, exhibitions. That's one of the main ones. That's where I met Katie Price, for example. I went to a red carpet X Factor screening event. I got to, you know, be in front of all these celebrities like Gary Barlow, Kelly Rowland, Tulisa. I was on that same aeroplane as Tulisa once as well, and we got off the exact same in Bulgaria. I was going to go up to her. She was right in front of me. She was this close. She was getting her luggage. I was getting mine. But I thought, you know what? I don't feel comfortable doing that, because I felt like, you know, I believe there has to be like an open door somewhere. And I didn't feel that feeling to like talk to her. I feel like sometimes I do respect the privacy of celebrities. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm going to go and talk to them. They're very open. And sometimes I feel like they need their space. Like at that point, I might feel like, do you know what? Let me not bother. You know, I've seen, back in the day when I used to work at Selfridges, that's another thing. I used to work at Selfridges and I used to meet lots of celebrities there. So when I was there, I would meet quite a lot of them, and some of them I would go up to them and talk to them, like Gwen Stefani. I was like, oh my god, Gwen Stefani, like, what are you doing here? And you know, I would like chit chat with some celebrities, but then sometimes I would feel like, no, just do your job, you know, say hello, smile, but just don't like kind of like talk to them, because you know, you've got to keep it professional. So, but sometimes when if I was on my break or something, of course I would like, you know, if I see someone, I could like go over and talk. So yeah, so it's where you go, people. It's also where you go, like Harrods, you know, there could be celebrities in Harrods, there could be celebrities in Selfridges. In fact, there will be. The more you go Selfridges, the more you're going to meet celebrities, no doubt about that, because they do go there. Even Topshop, Oxford Street Topshop, Beyonce's been there, my sister's met celebrities there, she used to work there. You will meet some celebrities there. It's where you go. Go into these like designer shops, for example, you'll meet celebrities there, potentially. Definitely up Bond Street, no doubt about that. But then some places I go to, as I mentioned, the exhibitions are really good. Like, for example, there's one show called the Professional Beauty Show. I go there. I pretty much go every other year, sort of. I'm definitely, by God's grace, going to be going this year, hopefully. And I just can't wait, because whenever I go to that event, I do meet celebrities. I do attract it. Sometimes it's not that you get it's not that you take a photo of anybody. It's not even that you necessarily get featured or anything. Like, you may not meet anybody there. Like, let's say the media are there, but they don't interview you, they don't talk to you, you don't talk to them. It doesn't matter. Just go into these events alone will lift your profile and brand. I believe you have to go to specific events to lift your profile and brand. Exhibitions are one of them. Conferences is another. Whenever I go to the conferences in Nigeria or Bulgaria, especially Nigeria, I become like, I go probably like 3 levels higher, because I go into all these newspapers, all these magazines, I get onto TV all at one time, you know, because the media are there, especially in Nigeria, they have the media in abundance. They don't take media lightly there. You know, any event you go there, there's going to be a camera crew, there's going to be like magazines there, and they're going to take you photos and give it to you immediately. They'll print it for you immediately. They take it so seriously. The media in Nigeria are very, very good. So if you want to be in the media, go to some kind of event in Nigeria. You'll definitely be in the media. And then, yeah, where else can you go? Like, you can go to like TV shows, whether, you know, like you can actually be in the audience. Sometimes I've been in the audience, not just being a guest, or not just, you know, doing the TV presenting, but I've been in the audience as well. And I finally want to say, as a bonus, I actually became a TV presenter, and that's what gave me the most TV coverage. So get a job in the media, you know, whether that's you being a contributor to a magazine, you being a contributor to a newspaper, you actually becoming one of the editors or one of the assistants or whatever. Be a producer, do lighting work, camera work, get in the media in some way, shape or form by working for the media, working in the media. That's what I did with TV work. I also do some producing as well. Sometimes I film stuff, send it to my producer, and he puts it onto TV. So there's just little things I've done. And I just made sure that, like, I would also say as another bonus is I always made sure that I said yes to opportunities, whereas people would always look for an excuse to get out of it. So people always look for an excuse to not go to not do TV work, to not travel. People always look for an excuse. Hi, Tracy. Like, I believe people always look for an excuse to turn something down. They'll be like, oh, I can't go because it's too far. Oh, I would love to be in that podcast, but, I'm not prepared. Oh, do you know what? I'd really love to do that magazine feature, but, I can't get the article done on time. I can't answer those questions. Or they just do self-sabotaging things, like run away when they've just been approached. Follow through. If you're asked to fill in a form, fill in the form. Get some... sometimes you have to prepare in advance as well. As the new year is unfolding, get 3 articles ready for the media immediately. It could be, for example, you might have hit 6 figures. Why don't you create some amazing article on how to hit 6 figures? It could be the 18 steps to take in 2018 to hit 6 figures, and beyond. That is a great article. That is a great catch. It could be, for example, let's say you have you're a branding expert. You could create like a training, not even a training, but you could create like an article or even a video, a very good video, high definition, filmed very well, good light and everything. You could send it to the media. They could put it on, they could actually accept it and say, okay, we'll put it on our show, or we'll put it, because some shows want segments. They want people to put something on, or they don't mind you contributing. Like, many of you know that, for example, with ITV, they have like, with Loose Women, they have all these different shows. But even with, like, for example, with Philip Schofield and Holly, on that show that they present, you would notice that sometimes they have a cooking segment, or they have the weather, and there's other things going on, not just them presenting, but they may have people come and perform, or people come and there's just different things going on. So that's why I really believe that you've got to like put yourself out there and say, look, would you be interested in receiving my article for your magazine? And I've been contacted for all this, like, oh, can you write for our magazine? Can you write for our blog? But the most important thing to do is to get it done and meet their deadlines, because they do have deadlines. And sometimes they'll mess you around, the media. I'm going to tell you one thing quickly. The media sometimes will mess you around, and it's a test, to be honest with you. You might want to be on a show. When I was trying to be on BBC BBC London Radio Derry. No. BBC London Derry Radio. I was trying to be on that radio station. I reached out to them through Twitter. Twitter's a great place to get publicity, by the way. It's a great way to it's a great place to tweet at the media, PM them, and they usually do get back to you, and they usually can point you in the right direction in terms of how to apply, or they would just, feature you immediately and be like, okay, yep, very interested, send us your story or whatever it is. And I have been featured just by being on Twitter at least a few times. Sometimes I could just retweet something, and then they're like, oh my God, I love what you do. And then I'll be like, oh, I love what you do too. And then they'll be like, would you be interested in, doing an interview together? That's a way as well. Okay, so the media can mess you around. You need to have thick skin to receive criticism, thick skin to be able to just deal with the media in the sense where you could be messed around, or you might be booked for a show and they change their mind at the last minute. I was supposed to be on BBC London Derry, which is the island BBC. Derry is island, right? Okay, so it's called London Derry. And basically what happened is some other more important thing came up, because what happens with the media, by the way, is they can have more important news. I remember once I was promised to be in a newspaper. They said it's going to be definitely out on Tuesday, you're going to be in it, blah, blah, blah. That day came and nothing. I looked in the newspaper, I wasn't there. I was like, oh, what is going on, Hi, Rosaline. And I was like, oh my goodness, I thought I was going to be in this newspaper. It doesn't happen very often, but there can be times when you're kind of messed around. Do not despair. Like, that same newspaper that kind of said I was going to be in it at that time, even though I'd been in it already a couple of times, but they didn't feature me that time. But I still sent them my press release a couple of times, and guess what? One day they featured me without me even knowing, and they put me in about my master's degree. I had no idea that they saw that I had graduated. They just took the photo, put a nice story together, and said Queen Chimera of Islington has graduated with a master's degree. And they just featured me. I didn't even know until I did a bit of research on Google and I found that article. So that just goes to show that sometimes we think that, like, we've pitched and we didn't get featured, we get disappointed, but we don't know. They may be gearing up to feature us another time. So with BBC Londonderry, didn't work out with that one. There was 2 times I was meant to be on the show. It didn't kind of work out. But in the end, I reached out to BBC London, because one thing I've learned from Janice Dickinson, and one thing I've learned in my life full stop, is you always need a comeback. Or you need a bounce back. You need to bounce back from anything that you go through. You need to think, what's next? If this didn't work out, what's next? So the thing that I thought of was what is next. What was next for me was basically, I was like, okay, well, let me try London then. Let me try BBC London UK. Because I live in London anyway, so I might as well be in the London. I might as well be on the London radio station. So I contacted them. And by the way, I was on BBC London, the TV channel. So that was when I was 8 years old. And then this one is, because I know I've talked about that before. But okay, so basically, had that amazing opportunity to be on the channel and everything. And then obviously with this one, it was the radio I was trying to go for. And it all worked out. 3rd time lucky. Got onto BBC London. But you know, it's so funny because what I was talking to you about thick skin, I realised why it's important to be thick-skinned, because there was a lady there that was also going to be interviewed too, or to talk about like pageants, and it was a pageant interview, and she was talking about like pageants are bad and pageants is this and this and like just negative stuff. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that I was going to be like put on the spot like this. I thought that this interview was going to be like, you know, roses and everything. But you know what I realised? I realised that you need to be ready. Like, you need to be so ready for any interview that came up. And even though the woman was saying pageants are bad and this, I was like, pageants can also be a great way to raise money for charity, and pageants can be a great way for young girls and women to shine, and pageants can be a great way to overcome, you know, trauma. For example, if people are bullied, pageants can give girls and women a confidence boost, and it can build their confidence and build their charisma, build their stage presence, and lead to amazing opportunities to be on TV, acting, you know, doing acting work, being on stage, and so on and so forth. So there are some really good things that come with pageants, not just the, you know, bad things in the sense of like, it's not just about like them, it's not about just the beauty, it's also about like the inner beauty too. And so I was quick, because you have to have information quick and be quick-witted and have quick comebacks and really know what to say. So I'm going to give you 3 pieces of homework. Number 1, write down all the newspapers, magazines, TV shows, everything you want to be in, write them down and actually make a decision to contact at least 3 of them within the next 7 days. Okay, that's a challenge I'm setting you. Number 2, the second thing to do, I want to recommend that you do some research on the media. Like, learn as much as possible about the TV industry, radio industry. Go way back. Buy books on this stuff. Trust me, the more you learn about the media, the more you'll be prepared to handle the media and also be prepared to be in the media. Number 3, hire a coach, do a course in the media. Something around this. It could just be, you know, you do a course at college, you go and do a degree in this. It's not compulsory that you do a degree, but if you want to take the media seriously, you could potentially do a degree. You know, I may go back to university and do a degree in PR, even though I've got a degree in mass communications, which is equivalent to media studies. I've got an A-level in media studies. Why do I need to go back and do something that I've already pretty much got? Because there are still new things to learn. And because of the fact that I want to be sharp. I want to be really sharp with PR and media. I don't want to just be like, oh, you know, I want to be on top of my game. And that's what you need. Like, we need to be on top of our game. But if you don't want to, like, invest in some kind of, like, degree or something like that, or a course at university or college or whatever, you could also do, like, online courses. There are cheaper courses online. And then another thing that you could also consider is you could consider like buying like a book on PR or a book on media. So there's loads on Amazon that you could get it. Like, I think there's one called PR Works, and there's just like media studies books that I would recommend that you get, just general ones. I will probably put down a couple below, some recommended books. And I don't just mean like I mean like textbooks too, not just books that are like interesting to read, like the more of like self-help. I'm talking also about like textbooks too, as in the kind of like, you know, studious books. Those will be really helpful for you too. And that is it in a nutshell, people. I hope you found this to be useful. I know that many of you have been sort of jumping on, jumping off, probably because of work and, you know, all sorts of commitments. But I want to encourage you to please make sure you take my 3 tips on board. And the final thing I want to talk about quickly as we wrap up this whole training is I want to invite you to join me for my new fabulous course, which is called Stardom. It's called the Stardom Bootcamp. And that is something that I'm, going to be launched. It's basically starting on the 15th of January. It's basically a 30-day boot camp where I'll be training you on things like this, just sharing all this type of information that I've been sharing here, but just like different topics. It's 15 different lessons, all live streams in a private Facebook group for members only. And I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what I've done to break into the media, attract over 100 TV interviews, how I got to be in newspapers and magazines like OK Magazine, the Islington Gazette, the Voice newspaper, the Echo, how I got to be in magazines like even specialist ones that are more niche marketed, like for example the pageant one, one of the pageant ones I was in is called Natural Sparkle, which is like the UK big magazine here for pageants. And and just things like that, like how did I get all these opportunities? How did I get opportunities to be on BBC London Radio, or whether it be podcast shows and so on and so forth. So, and how do you keep doing that? Like, it's one and also, I mean, how do I help my clients to break into the media? Because my clients are like, one of my clients the other day, that was one of the ladies that was in my program, she was on the cover of a magazine, another one was on TV the other day. And so I believe that, like, I understand PR and I understand the media so much. Hi, Fiona. Welcome. Hi, Sammy. Sammy's here too. Congratulations for the success that you're going to be achieving in 2018. I'm wishing you so much good blessings and lots of love. So basically, I really want to encourage you all to check out my new boot camp, and it's called Stardom, the Stardom Boot Camp. I will be teaching you everything about PR and media, but also everything I've done to attract to be able to travel to 45 cities and states. I'm going to be teaching you how I got to, build my beauty pageant from scratch, from nothing, and turn it, into this big brand where I've had over like 1,000 people attend the events. Hi, Fiona. Fiona says, hi, Queen, I'm going to catch the replay. Oh, yeah, definitely lots of success in 2018. Yep, most certainly. It's going to be a great year for you guys and for me. You rock. Thank you so much. Definitely watch the replay, and I will be checking out you. I don't think I saw your live stream yesterday, but I did look, but I don't know if I looked too late, so I definitely will be looking out for it, and I'll be watching the replay as well of yours. Take care. So yeah, I definitely want to encourage you that I know so much about PR and the media, and what I'm going to be teaching you in my program called Stardom is how to increase your star qualities, your celebrity factor, how to make yourself more media attractive, how to stand out in 2018 on social media and offline. And you know what? You need to do this whether anybody's clapping for you or not. Like, I'm here live streaming. There's like one person on the live stream right now. There was about 2 minutes ago. But people are going to watch the replay. That's fine. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You have to act like a celebrity before you become one. I acted as if I was everything. That's why I attracted all these TV interviews. That's why I was on TV over 100 times, on ITV, Ben TV, BBC, Living TV, Faith TV, Dutch TV. That's why, because I acted as if I was a celebrity. I acted famous before I was even anybody, I acted like I was something. I dressed a certain way. I carried myself a certain way. I talked a certain way. I behaved a certain way. I thought a certain way. I carried this is what I did. I would go to certain events because I acted as if I was a high-profile person. I believed I was, like, going to be famous and be in the media. And not famous in a, vain way, but famous in a way of making an impact and changing lives and making a difference. Oh, Fiona says, my live was hilarious. Still getting over my cold, so had to do it in 4 parts in the end, laugh out loud. Your bootcamp sounds brilliant. I think a lot of us are nervous around TV, so it's great that you're taking the mystery out of it. Oh, thank you so much. And oh my goodness, I can't wait to watch it, and especially the 4 parts. That sounds so good. I love it. And I hope that your cold disappears very soon, definitely. And yeah, you're so right about the nerves. It's really nerve-wracking. Like, thanks for the hearts, by the way. It is really nerve-wracking, like, being on TV if people don't really know what to do. So there are some things that, like, I'm going to be talking about in my program where I'm going to go through those types of things. Like, okay, what do you do? What camera do you look at? What camera don't you look at? How do you take instructions? The first time I was on TV, when I had my first TV presenting job, I actually clapped. I was like, welcome to UK Politics. Then I clapped. And the producer was like, don't you clap like that. And I was like, oh my God. I was terrified. So there are some things, and I remember once there was one pivotal moment where I restarted a show, and I thought it was okay because usually you can restart. You can say, okay, let's start that again. Everybody looked at me like, whoa, like, did you just restart? And I was like, oh my God, like, this is so tense. What's wrong, everybody? But the thing is, we had a live audience. It wasn't a live recording. It was a pre-recorded show, but it was like a one take. They wanted it to be a one take. And I was like, can we start again? And I sort of laughed, and it was like nobody was laughing. And it was like about 100 people in the room or something like that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing, you know? But then there are other times where you can, you know, ask to retake like 20 times, and everybody's laughing and it's all fun and games. So it just all depends. Like, the media is a very tricky thing, but I've learned enough about it over the 10 years that I've been in the media to definitely share as much as I possibly can on everything from magazines, you know, all the way up to TV. And the thing is, I've got both sides. I've been in it, but I've also studied it. Like, I've actually gone through the media studies and, you know, learned everything about tabloids, magazines, glossy magazines, you know, the newspapers, TV shows, and I've got like all the books at home. So pretty much have like about 10 or 12 books, which are really boring to read for anybody that's not into the media as such. But it's so changed my life. Like, I cannot like credit enough of my success to, I could not like take credit for my own success. It's definitely what I studied at university and college. It really helped me tremendously. But also working with producers, like, I get to work with producers all the time. I can call up radio presenters and be like, oh, can you tell me this? And that's just such an amazing thing, and I want to share all of this with you guys. Fiona says, I met someone recently who is setting up a TV show, a new TV show around entrepreneurship. I think sometimes we just don't know the rules of how the media works or whether an opportunity is worthwhile, right, etc. Yeah, exactly, definitely. I think that's so amazing that they're setting up a TV show, number one. That is amazing. I think that's just fantastic. And like you said, it's true. Like, we don't always know, like, the rules of the media. And I think that that's one of the things that I will be putting in. I'm going to probably do a live stream on this, so I give a few free tips. But in my group, I'm actually going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about, like, what are the rules? What are the do's and the don'ts? You know, because whenever I used to do my pageant training, my boot camps of the pageants, or any training days of the pageants, or anytime I would do any training days, I always realised that some of them didn't know the rules, the pageant rules. And so I created something where it's the 47 things to do or not do, like things that make the judges cringe, things that are good, bad, and like pretty much, you know, the ugly as well. And so the good, bad, and the ugly. So I kind of listed that out. So I'm going to probably do something like that. I think that's such a good thing that you mentioned. Like, what are the media rules? What are the do's and the don'ts? Well, I'll give you a couple quickly. One of them is definitely, you know, to make sure you're smiling, unless a show is a serious show. So once there was a politician, I won't mention his name, but there was one politician who actually was sort of smiling and dancing when they played music, but it was actually a mourning. They were mourning. You know, somebody had died, or it was about the war or something. And so everybody was serious, like Obama was serious, Michelle Obama, and then this one was like dancing and stuff, and it just didn't make any sense. So definitely make sure you, like, if you're on a show and it's about something serious, even if you're excited to be on the show, if the show is serious, don't be like, oh my God, you know, because we can forget that even though we're excited, the show is not a exciting show. It's about mourning, so we should be mourning. So be sad when you're meant to be sad. But overall, apart from if it's a sad show, your overall disposition should be, like, your overall persona on a show should always be positive and smiley and friendly and so on and so forth. Okay, Fiona says, can you comment in future live stream on what you do when you're approached by TV or radio to do something? Are they paid or unpaid opportunities, things you should avoid, etc.? That's such a good question. Yeah, I'll do a live stream on this. I definitely will. But let me just answer that quickly. I would say, just in a nutshell, yeah, like when you're approached, I was just saying in a nutshell that the first thing to do is just find out as much about it as possible. With the media, they never really pay you. It's just an opportunity. I guess if you're like a celebrity or something, they will. And if it's a regular show, by the way, if it's a regular show, like let's say you're going to be on like a show forever or something, you're definitely meant to be paid, or at least they'll cover your transport. So they'll give you some kind of like an allowance or something. So sometimes they won't pay you, or it could be some commission thing or something like that. But if it's just like a one-off, let's say it's like a radio show, It's more for publicity for you. So it's more of like they're giving you a platform to have publicity. And say with TV as well, it's like a platform for you. But if you are somebody that is famous, they do pay celebrities, most of them. Not all the time, but it can be, you know, they can do that. So that is what I think around that. And some things to do, not do. Definitely don't just like do the interview or whatever without like knowing as much as information as possible, because they may actually portray you in a way that you may not like. I would say to ask to see the footage before it's released. I would say to ask to read the article before it's out, because they may just publish something. I've actually been published, like some articles of mine, or I've been interviewed, and I thought that when I was being interviewed, that was between me and the editor. I didn't know that they were like putting everything out there, like everything I was saying was being written out, and then they just put the whole thing in the newspaper, and I was like, why did he put that in? Like, that was between me and him. So this is some of the things they do, which is not nice. But hi, Charlotte, and welcome. And then Fiona says, is there ever a situation where an entrepreneur would pay for a media appearance? Oh, yeah, definitely. Hi, Tommy, again, you're back. Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have even done that myself. So, by the way, there is nothing bad in paying for a media opportunity. It's such a good thing. Like, I wouldn't say to do that all the time, and you wouldn't need to, because the media are very generous. They'll give you opportunities. You will not have to pay. I'll tell you the time where I've done this. I've done this specifically when I wanted to advertise for the pageant, but I've also done this when there was this magazine opportunity, and I think that they featured me for free, but they came up with this idea where they could promote me for a week for the pageant. And they said that they would, like, you know, promote us, and then that would be like our way of getting publicity. And also, I think there's been something else I've contributed to, whether it was like like there was some kind of like feature where they featured me, and they said if I would be willing to, can I contribute towards it, like just sort of sow a seed or like donate some money towards the cause. And yeah, so in a way that was like paying for my feature. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And to be honest with you, I know a friend, I'm going to tell you a story quickly. One of my friends, my wonderful entrepreneur friends, young entrepreneur, and at the time he was probably about 17, but he had big, like, publicity and fame all around him. He paid to be in a magazine, like to be featured in a magazine, because sometimes you can do that. You can contact a magazine, and, you know, if you're willing to meet their budget, they're willing to give you a space. And you know what? There was even a magazine called Essex Star Magazine. They actually offered me to have, like, a spot, a regular spot, a paid one, though. I didn't take it in the end, but it was a good opportunity, but I didn't take it. But what happened with my friend is he paid to be in a magazine, you know, just put himself out there. Because sometimes you've got to put yourself out there. Like, as much as you can get the free stuff, if you get into a good magazine and maybe pay for that slot, it can be a really good feature. They'll do it the way you want and everything, you know, which doesn't happen often, but they can, if they think you're good and if they've at least worked with you once, they may be willing to give you a spot, a paid spot. Let me just read what you said. I used to have journalists approach me all the time for snippets of writing because I write well, and they'll put in a word for a word, easy for them. Yeah, exactly. That is so good. That's another thing, like media mentions. You know, if you're good at writing, if you say good things, they can definitely feature you and put you out there and stuff like that. Definitely. A client of mine got coverage in the Times, and I did the copy. Oh my God, did you? That means you could be a media copywriter. That is so good. Or you could actually, yeah, that means you must have really good copywriting skills, but also not just copy, but you must have really good writing. You're really good at writing. He got 30k website hits in a day. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. And my friend was featured in the Sun newspaper, and on that same day, she had 1,000 friend requests in that one day. Being in the media is absolutely crazy. Like, I remember I was featured in some online article. I had 50 subscribers on my newsletter within about 10 minutes, you know. So these types of things happen. Haha, I'm used to that. I'm all about coaching now, though. Yeah, like, oh my God, maybe you could do something like where you sell like templates, where you've got them all made up, and then you just sell them. And they're like just basically like templates or sample letters, I think that would be so good, like sample sheets, like sample letters, sample sales pages, stuff like that. If you're such a great writer, which I know you are based on what you said, that would be so good, because then you just do it once and then you sell it forever. Because I did something like that. I did something where it was called the 10 high value worksheets that beauty queens need to be successful, and then I would just sell them, and it was like all these, you know, pieces of information and things they could copy. Like, for example, I'd have like a letter, sponsorship letter, I'd have like a letter of like a pitch to the media. And actually, one of the things I'm going to be posting in the Stardom bootcamp is actually pitches to the media. So I'm going to have like all these examples of how to pitch and all these examples of how to follow up with them as well, which is quite like powerful stuff. So yeah, I totally get what you mean. And yeah, so my friend, he put out that article and he didn't hear anything for a few months. But then all of a sudden, the president of Nigeria, the president's wife, the first lady of Nigeria, contacted him and said, oh my God, I saw your story. It's amazing, this, that, and the other. And guess what? She actually invited him to speak. And it was like the biggest breakthrough of his whole life. Well, one of them anyway, not the biggest breakthrough of his life, but it was one of the biggest breakthroughs ever for him, because they actually treated him like a celebrity. He got to speak all over. He was there for 2 weeks. They paid for everything for him. He had the most amazing time. And, you know, he got to speak. He sold copies of his books, you know, loads of his books there, because he has books. And he basically had so much fame. He said that his name was everywhere. When he got there was posters of his name everywhere. He had security escorting him everywhere. He was treated like a king. And when we went back to Nigeria, about 2 years later, he came with us and we did all this stuff, and it was amazing. But because he was so used to, like, because he was so confident when he went to for that trip, he was confident to come with us again. So Fiona says, oh my God, there is so much there. Yes, yeah, definitely. You should definitely do that. It would be so, so good. That's true. You never know where these things will lead. Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember once I was tagged into a competition and I thought, oh, what's this? I'm tagged myself, not knowing that that would lead to me. When I won the competition, I actually got to go to a boutique and I got to cut the ribbon, open the store, like the boutique, like crazy. That, like, the prince was supposed to do it, like the Prince of Wales. And it was like, I think it was meant to be him. But then because I won this competition, it was like part of the winning prize that I would get to open the boutique. So I honestly think the media, like just doing these things or putting yourself out there, or, you know, you just never know where it's going to lead to. You just never know. Hi, Indari, how are you? Happy New Year. Yeah, so it's just so, so, so powerful. Like what can happen when you put yourself out there in the media, definitely. So yeah, my program is called Stardom. It's actually only 127 to join. And with you, Fiona, if you ever wanted to join, like, let me know. I'll give you a little bit of a discount because you're my colleague from the membership tribe. But yeah, like, honestly, like, this program, to be honest, is what I'm doing with this program is I'm actually just literally telling you exactly what I did to get to where I got to. Like, all the opportunities I've achieved, I'm going to be talking about all of them. Like, how did I organise my events? You know, how did I travel to 45 cities and states? What did I do? The steps I took. And then also talking about things from a media perspective, a PR perspective, and talking about success strategies, because I used to rely a lot on success strategies back in the day. So I would watch people like Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins, and I would just do whatever they would do, and I would know what the success secrets were, and I would implement them, and then it would get me all these results. So my media opportunities came as a result of my success habits. That was the main thing. It wasn't even just to do with the PR that I'd learned or the media. It was more to do with also to do with like the things I'd learned success-wise. And so that's what got me into motivational speaking and all of this stuff. And I mean, every time I'd go on a show, I would make it be like, okay, we're going to talk about how we can push for more success. And that was like my thing, like, how can you push for more success? How can you be more successful? All about success. And I made that my thing, you know? And so that's another thing, like, what will you make as your thing? If you're in the media, what is your claim in the media? And that's something we can discuss as well all throughout the whole course. So it's like just basically 15 live streams where I'm going to be talking about a different topic each time, from organising events all the way to how to be magazines, every single thing in between. It is going to be amazing, my best stuff ever. And to be honest with you, I have never really kind of like just shared so much like this. And I think that the difference between like maybe my public live streams and the group will just be that I will also be there to answer questions. I will be giving bonus worksheets, bonus videos, and bonus like templates and stuff like that. Just everything that I give to my clients and all like in my group programs, I'll be putting it in there. It is going to be juicy. Honestly, this program should be like £700 because I'm really going to be revealing my best stuff. And I know that I have seen with my own eyes that like one lady that like worked with me, one of my friends that worked with me, she's still booked with singing gigs all the way from 2013 all the way to now by coming to my event, but also by us having like sessions on Skype. And I'm amazed at what can happen to people when they break into the media. It is life-changing. It changed my life. And I know that your life will change if you take my bootcamp, because there's no way that you can receive that much information and just stay the same. It's like, to me, impossible, because it's all about PR. It's all about the media. And it's about infusing more creativity as well. Like, for example, some of the things I used to do when I used to make videos, I would have like balloons in the background, banners, backdrops. I would buy them and I would just do all this fancy stuff. And, you know, I remember Valentine's Day, I had this set, you know, I made a card for TV, and I would, you know, basically had balloons everywhere. I did stuff to really like stand out so that people would watch the videos, people would watch the show, people would be interested. I'm going to post a video or two just to give you an example of what I mean, so that you understand how I went out of my way to create this set. And yeah, and just, it just helped me to get onto lots of shows. And I really think that, like, there are some things, by the way, that I do on live stream that I would never do on TV. So, for example, on live stream, I'm like, every 5 seconds. You can't really do that on TV. And I think that, obviously, it's different if somebody has a speech problem or something. Of course, like, nobody's perfect. But one of the media trainings that they would give you is that, you know, it's definitely about the way you deliver as well. It's about your communication, your body language, your eye contact. Like, on live stream, I can be looking like everywhere and everything. But on TV, no. My body language, my posture, and even the way I project my voice is different. And they edit things as well. So even if you don't get it right, like, as long as you give them something good enough, they can edit things and make you look good regardless as well. But if you don't give them enough good stuff, even if they edit and edit, it just won't work. So let me know if you have any other questions and I'll answer them. If not, I will be heading off. But the boot camp, I don't even know if I could probably like post it now, but I'll probably, yeah, maybe try and post it now. Yes, so basically, I'll just quickly post it. And thank you so much, Fiona, for being here and for your lovely words. Oh, you're so lovely. Oh my gosh, I so want to meet up with you again. It was so lovely to see you when we were in Winchester. I'm so glad that you came to see me. And I really would love to see you again. Hopefully, if you're in London again, that would be so, so good. Oh my God. Yeah, I made it so simple, the link. I made it like so simple. So it's www.queenchammedia.com/stardom. I would love you to join. Or if you know anyone that is a fit for the program, please do let them know. But definitely check it out. Thanks so much for saying that I've given such good advice. Yes, definitely. I'm in London in Feb. Wonderful. My birthday is actually in February, the 28th. So yeah, I would love to see you. When you come back, let me know. We'll definitely meet up. And if you have any time to Skype, if you want to have a chat on Skype for a little bit, let me know as well. That would be so good to catch up. But wishing you a lovely evening, and I say take care. God bless. Bye.